Standing on the road was almost like standing on the surface of a frozen, hostile alien planet. The road was buried in 10 inches of snow as far as the eye could see, which wasn't very far. The shrieking air carried a million icy, whirling little daggers. They immediately strafed Jared's face into numbness and made his lashes freeze together from the watering of his eyes. Mo was standing with his back against the onslaught, arms wrapped around him and knees bent to brace against the bullying wind. He shouted, "Guy, this is unreal. We're going to fucking freeze to death out here." "We'll be okay when we get to the gully," Jared hollered back. "We'll be out of this bastard of a wind. We can build a fire." He studied the field that lay on the other side of the ditch. At this point, it was impossible to see how far the tree line was from the road. It was too distant, lost in the blowing snow. 400 meters? 5? How far could he run with a broken rib anyway? "I hope that I don't have to do it, Mo." It was best not to think about that, not unless he had to. Jared gripped Mo's shoulder and said, "We can do this, bud. We can make it. When we get into that field, put your head down and run, and keep fucking running. Don't look around, just fucking run, okay? You ready?" Mo shook his head no, miserably. Jared started for the opposite ditch and pulled Mo along behind him. They skidded on their heels to the bottom. This ditch was much shallower than the other. Jared could easily look into the fields while standing at the bottom. It was a bleak, dim hellscape of massive winds and desolate spaces. A man could wander out into that howling void and never be seen again. Jared thought, how many abandoned vehicles have they found in the ditches out here over the years? How many deer hunters and hitchhikers have gone missing, never to be seen again? Winter is hungry. Jared understood that now. Winter will devour you, whole and screaming, and leave no trace of you behind. "Jared!" Mo pointed behind them. Jared turned to see that Delmer was laboriously heaving himself across the road on his hands and one knee, dragging his broken leg behind him. His neck hole gaped at them like an eye. Jared croaked, "Come on, let's go." And he scrambled up the short, icy slope into the full wrath of the wind. It ripped the breath from his lungs and raked his face raw. Overhead, the sky was fading to violet with the setting of the sun. Night was almost upon them. Jared could hear Mo struggling close behind, already gasping from a sedentary life of drinking beer and riding around all day on a forklift. Jared's rib was screaming with every jarring step he took. He gritted his teeth and kept his eyes focused in the general direction of the tree line that lies somewhere ahead. They were lost in the shrieking void of winter's fury. It would be dangerously easy to run in a large circle and end up back at the road. "Don't run in a circle, you dumb shit. Don't you fucking dare. Keep steering a bit to the right." Mo was starting to make pathetic, mewling noises of exhaustion. He was slowing them down. "You fat fuck. I'm older than you and I've got a broken rib." Jared suddenly hated him intensely, passionately. He probably always had. The hatred made him feel better about his decision. "I can't see anything," Mo screamed at him. "We'll die out here whether they get us or not. My face is freezing." "Shut up and keep going, you fucking idiot," Jared roared. "Save your breath." Jared wasn't about to let Mo turn back. Hell no. He was needed. Mo was an integral part of the new plan. The envelope that Jared had taken from the car before they left was slapping a painful beat against his injured side, taut and feverish. It contained $50,000, their combined investment on today's aborted deal. They'd all been co-workers and business partners, yes, but two of those partners were no longer in the picture. What was left of Ray had been scattered in the wind, and as for Johnny Delmer, he wasn't going to be showing up for work on Monday either, was he? Dell had been reborn, and in his new life, he had a horrible new calling. He was now a caretaker of the fields, a servant of the things that dwell in the shrieking winter winds. Dell was lost. Maybe they won't come for us, Jared thought wildly. Maybe they've had enough. Maybe they've had their fill and they'll just leave us alone. Jared! Mo shrieked, and the raw terror of his voice made Jared stumble. Mo ran into him and clutched his arm in a death grip. It's coming! Run, guy! Run like fuck! The devil was a monolithic vortex, the biggest yet, a twisting worm that housed unspeakable horrors. Jared's guts turned to water. There would be no choice then. But $25,000 wasn't enough to start a new life anyway, was it? Not really. 50 was the magic number. Jared's hand darted into his pocket. He pulled out his knife. I'm sorry, Mo, he whispered, and slammed the blade deep into Mo's stomach. Mo went rigid and gurgled, and his yellow parka immediately bloomed with a spreading stain of crimson. Jared grunted and jerked the knife upwards, splitting open cloth and flesh. A leaking hunk of Mo's intestinal tract spilled into the snow between them. Mo weakly grasped for the knife, and Jared shoved him away. He took 2 great, staggering steps backward and fell onto his ass, a look of pained disbelief stamped on his face. Then the agony hit him through the shock, and Mo wailed, clutching his abdomen and struggling to gain his feet. His guts were sliding into his lap. He tried to push them back in, then vomited explosively. Jared turned heel and fled. Mo wailed after him. Why? Why would you do that to me, you bastard? You motherfucker! It's coming! Jared, it's coming! Don't leave me here! Please don't leave me here! Don't look back, Jared panted to himself. Don't you fucking look back. Mo's screams became more frantic. He sounded uncannily like the rabbit had. Moments before, it had been torn to pieces. Don't look. You don't want to see this. Jared looked back. He didn't want to, but he did. He couldn't help it. The devil was looming high above poor hapless Mo, who was screaming his last scream and holding his arms in a futile attempt to ward off his impending doom. He was insignificant before it, a mouse standing in the path of a dragon, a flickering campfire in the face of a tsunami. The whirling mass was roaring, bellowing with an untold number of voices and vocalizations, all of them growling and howling and shrieking as one with cold, insane glee. In the fading light, Jared saw that there were faces in the whirling snow. He saw a blurred, confused montage of hateful faces of all description. Human, bovine, wolfen, insectoid, faces of all kinds. Faces in the whirlwind. There were flashing claws and there were teeth, bared for the kill. But the eyes were the worst. The faces had blank eyes like windows, and what Jared saw on the other side of those windows made him scream like a woman. For a brief instant in time, Jared, Mo, the devil and the wind all sang a nightmare harmony of death together that spiraled, up and up, into the dark slate of the winter sky above them. And then the snow devil enveloped its prey. Mo was sucked in and instantly shredded in a terrific splatter of blood and fragments of flesh. The spinning column changed in color from a dirty white to a dark, rich red. It sluggishly bore forward for a few more feet, then collapsed. Bloody snow fell heavily to the ground, and the wind snatched at it with a scavenger's furtive greed. Within seconds, not a single trace of Mo remained. Jared turned away and staggered onward, pushing himself to move fast. He had no more sacrifices to offer in his steed. After a minute or two, the wind dropped long enough for the tree line to come into view, and he ran for it with one hand clutched to his ribs and tears streaming in freezing tracks down the rough plains of his cheeks. He stumbled through the skeletal border of dead grasses and shrubs and fell against the trunk of a birch tree, wheezing and trembling. Complete darkness abruptly fell like a curtain, and he crawled away into its depths, further into the woods and away from the field. When he reached the deeper blackness that signified the edge of the yawning gully, Jared stopped crawling and curled into an exhausted ball in the snow. It was cold in the woods, cold enough to freeze his breath, but he was finally out of the wind. He couldn't feel his nose, cheeks, or fingertips. Frostbite for sure, but he was alive. Rest for a while, catch my breath, then make my way through the gully and hope like hell I can wave down a car on the other side. Get to town, get checked out at the hospital, then blow the fuck out of here in the morning. Go to Mexico maybe. Somewhere warm. Somewhere where it doesn't snow. Not ever. The roaring wind overhead made the tall, straight trees around him creak and rustle. They plucked a screeching, discordant melody on the frayed strings of Jared's nerves. His heart continued to thunder away in his chest, and he was sweating in the frigid air. Something wasn't right. Did he hear something approaching? What was that? Jared clambered to his feet, straining to hear above the wind in the trees. There was a crackling of dead branches somewhere close by, a muted thump. A hand clamped down on his ankle in the dark. Shit, fuck, god damn it! He screeched and he kicked free of the grasping thing with a spastic jerk of his leg. Another hand clutched at his pant leg and Jared jumped back, thudding against a tree with a winded grunt. It was Dell. His headless corpse had somehow managed to follow Jared all this way, slowly and implacably, crawling through the snow like a remote-controlled toy. Feeling, searching. Jared ran blindly down into the gully. He ran headlong into the trees and thorn bushes, flailing and scrambling in a mindless panic. He ran and gibbered and sobbed and fell and rolled his way down the slope. Jared started to laugh after a while. It was the cracked, hysterical cackling of a madman. Dragging itself on its belly, the dead thing followed.